Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Chris Raybon. This is our NFL Conference Championship betting preview. We're going to talk our top bets for Broncos, Patriots, and Rams. Seahawks joining me, as always, the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey. Stuck, what's going on? Referees had our back with that Brandon Cooks under 2.5 last week.
Yeah, what a sweat with the elbow coming down out of bounds. That would have been his
Oh,
third
yeah.
catch. And then I did think it was clearly an interception, but
Yeah,
obviously that
same.
was super close to getting his third catch. So yeah, that game went well for me. The Rams didn't. I had some corn props, rushing props, and um, Rams team total over. I thought McVay called a horrendous game. I mean, atrocious. One of the worst I've ever seen from him. And he said that himself. But I mean, over the first three quarters, they had their lowest rush rate, designed run rate of the entire season. Yet they had close to a 50% success rate, which like would have led the league. And then their pass rate over the first three quarters was the highest of the year, and they were at a 30% success rate. They didn't go heavy despite the Bears being dead last in rush explosiveness against heavy personnel. Like I don't know what they were doing. Um, and they weren't prepared for did they watch the second half of the Packers game? They weren't prepared for the nickel blitz. Um, so I don't know. Maybe McVay was spent the week preparing for the Seahawks. I don't know. I thought the Bears should have won the game. Um, and I mean, a couple fourth downs, turnovers, flip the other way. I don't just watching that game. If you didn't know anything about those teams, you would have thought the Bears were the better team. So I thought McVay got away with one. And in the other game, it same same old story for Bills fans. Poor Bills fans. I I thought Allen didn't play well, but the defense let him down again. Coaching was bad again. I mean, you the end of that first half that was the difference in the game. You don't go to overtime. That doesn't happen. You can't.
Allen, I mean,
What was Allen going to do? He's going to
he
go.
just pressed L2, bro. He just pressed L2 by accident, bro. It happens. Like
But like, there was no upside there. They had no timeouts. Like what we there that only could have ended in disaster, which it did. So yeah, credit Denver for getting it done. And now we have Jared Stidham in the AFC Championship game. Just when you think the Patriots' schedule cannot possibly get any easier, they get a backup quarterback in the AFC Championship game. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, Patriots fans who never stop complaining, like they are like they are so upset that people are saying their schedule is so easy. They live a charmed life. I mean, this is all they did was have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick winning Super Bowls. And then they had a hiatus where the AFC was dominated by these elite quarterbacks where no other team could break through. And then in the year where you have a good team with the easiest schedule in NFL history, you get to face Jared Stidham in the AFC Championship game. I mean, the AFC Championship game for 25 years has just been Mahomes, one Burrow,
Brady,
Allen, Brady, Roethlisberger, and then
Manning.
a couple Ravens and Manning. Like that's it. And you get Jared Stidham. Unbelievable.
I mean, to be fair, Jared Stidham in probably no matter how bad he plays cannot be worse than CJ Stroud was last week. So
I mean the Patriots I thought were terrible last week. But Stroud was as
awful.
bad as you will ever see a quarterback play. Yeah, only three football games left. So gotta cherish them. Hopefully we can find some winners. Got some fun touchdown long shots later in the show. Some props, some sides. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, 60-52. 2 points each for everything here on out. I think it's the closest I've been all year, so I'm trying to keep it going here, and we're opening it up. So we got just all types of bets since obviously there's only two games. I'll start us off for the conference championship Sunday 6-pack for my first pick, first overall, going with the Denver Broncos plus 5.5 at home against the New England Patriots. This line is let's break down this line. Let's break down the line. If the Broncos had Bo Nix, especially given the narratives with the Patriots and their easy schedule, I mean, I think the Broncos got really lucky this year, but I think the line would have still been Broncos minus 2-ish. I would have made it around 1.5, 2, maybe just inside of 3.
I mean, Broncos were closed 1.5-point favorites against the Bills, and the Bills are power rated ahead of the Patriots in market, and to me, I would have had them
minus 2-ish, 2.5,
2.5. Yeah,
right. Okay, so let's just go with that 2.5. Now the line is 5.5. The other way. Bo Nix is not worth a 7-point swing. Now, there are some ways I think the Broncos will miss Bo Nix in this game, in this specific matchup, and I'll get to that. But overall, just on the surface, to explain this bet, Bo Nix not worth 7-point drop off to Jarrett Stidham. Now you ask, well, why is that? Well, first of all, Bo Nix this year averaged 6.4 yards an attempt. He throwing the football, he wasn't great. He got better, I think, as the year progressed against zone coverage. He still made some throws against man. He still gave him positives with his legs, but he was probably an average quarterback, all things considered. Not great. Jarrett Stidham, if you look back, he has a small sample still, but he's been about a league average starter in his starts, like EPA wise, not even a backup, like a league average starter. Now, small sample, so we're not going to weight that too much, but he's a competent quarterback, and that is going to be important here because the one thing about the Patriots, and I talked about this last week, with the Woody Marks thing, you can't run on the Patriots. And I think that's where the Broncos will miss Bo Nix. That's why, I like the 5.5 more than I like the money line in this spot, just because I could see the Patriots escaping yet again with like a close win. But this line is egregious. Stidham is in no way 7 points worth the Knicks. The Broncos defense still going to be at home. Drake May has been sloppy with the football. So Drake May, we looked at this game last week and it was like, all right, DJ Stroud just having a nightmare. He threw 4 picks. It just wasn't processing in the pocket. But if we look at what Drake May's been doing over these past couple, he's fumbled 6 times. He's taken 10 sacks. And these are against
45% pressure to sack ratio.
Exactly. And so it's like anytime you hear the dreaded sideline reporters, who have nothing to say ever, when they go down to them and they're like, oh yeah, Drake May said he's got to take better care. They said it about Stroud and May at different points of the game. What happens? A freaking turnover, just like it was like a smorgasbord of turnovers in that game and potential turnovers for both of them. And it's like, this is not something you could just say you're going to improve. And the one thing about the Patriots that the more sample we get, that's becoming a concern, I think you alluded to this last week, Stuck, was that when you actually go back and look at the numbers for the pressure and for the yards before contact, so offensive line metrics for the Patriots, they've been worse with Will Campbell and Wilson in there. Those guys missed games near the end of the year. So those guys are back in there now. Will Campbell, especially, Houston was targeting him all day, lining up Anderson. He's going to get
abused here.
Exactly. And they were lining Anderson up over him. Like they were just. So this Bronco team, record-setting pressure. And remember, they don't rely on turnovers. They may very well get them in this game again. Now, they needed them against the Bills. That's understandable. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. And I thought it wasn't the Broncos' finest defensive game at all. But
Bills' offensive line is also way better than the Patriots' offensive line.
Exactly. That's really the issue because Drake May has some Allen-like tendencies. He's fearless. He can make, very pinpoint throws, very far downfield. He can scramble. Not quite as big to take up some of the punishment, I don't think, in the same way. At least as thick, but 10 sacks in 2 games against the Broncos record-setting sack defense with all these fumbles. That's not going to get it done. Now, you say, okay, well, how do the Patriots respond to that? They're going against a backup quarterback. So they might come out a little bit more conservative, more close to the vest. It is Mike Vrabel. So that's another thing that could actually work in the Broncos' favor, because what is one thing we learned about Sean Payton, that we've been learning about Sean Payton as a Bronco, especially over these last 2 years? This dude is not just going to run the ball for any reason. Like last year, Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. I track like pass rate over expected and all that stuff, because for projecting fantasy, I kept waiting for them to like regress to like a normal pass rate all year. They're just above expectation, positive, negative, neutral game script. Same thing this year. They go against one of the worst run defenses in the league in Buffalo, and their running backs combined for 10 carries. I think one got called back, so 11 really. I think Bidet had one that got called back. So 11 carries, we'll say, in an overtime game, to the point where you're running Knicks, you get them hurt because you're not handing the ball off to the backs. Now you don't have that option, but that's good, because the Patriots held in 2 games. They held running backs to 31 carries for 61 yards in the 2 playoff games so far. Neither team really wanted to run the ball. Houston at one point was running the ball just because CJ Stroud was puking his brains out all over the field. Like that's the only, like they were trying to abandon the run way early in the game, and then CJ Stroud just somehow happened to be worse than getting 1 yard per carry. And so they started handing the ball off to Marks a few more times. But you're not running on the Patriots. So Stidham being a competent backup, Sean Payton not being afraid to throw the football, even when he was down what? He was down 2 receivers where a third went into the medical tent and got cleared. And going against one of the worst run defenses in the league with a lead for most of the game, and handed the ball 10 times to backs. So all this is good for the Broncos. This line is egregious. They're at home. This Sean Payton knows how to scheme backup quarterbacks. I think he's something like 17-5 with backups, during his time with the Saints. Remember Bridgewater, Taysom, Winston. Like he's done it in the playoffs. He's done it in the regular season. So yeah, give me the Broncos here. I think the Patriots are a little bit slept on in the sense that I really like their run defense. I think their run defense is just amazing. It kind of reminds me of the Vrabel run defenses with Jeffrey Simmons. I like how the defense is playing, with everybody healthy now and on the back end for the most part. Carlton Davis is questionable, but I still think this line is crazy, especially for the carelessness Drake May has had with the ball. And Stidham's been around, this type of environment before. He came up with the Patriots. That could work for and against him, but I just think Peyton's track record, the fact that he's not going to lean into the run too hard just because he has a backup, is going to ultimately work in the Broncos' favor, along with their pressure and the fact that they still have upside for their defense in terms of, not really relying on turnovers. So give me Denver plus 5.5.
Yeah, this would have been my first pick. Unfortunately, you were picking first this week, but this was the first bet I made this week. So yeah, I mean, I'm projecting the drop off from Knicks to Stidham to be like, I mean, it's an elite quarterback. Your drop off to like a not a top 5 backup is like a touchdown plus.
Yeah.
And that's not the case here. I mean, Nick's overall, his whole body of work is like an average quarterback who can be really bad at times, who can be like a bottom 5 quarterback. And Stidham, I think, is like, I would consider him an upper echelon backup. So I'm projecting this with, the wide receiver injuries. I'm projecting this like a 5-point drop off. And I think I might even be too high with that, but
Yeah, that's a little aggressive there.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm still only then at like 3.2, 3.3 for the line. So I think this spread should be a field goal. This is also, look, by the way, over the last 50 years, home dogs in the NFL playoffs of 4+ points are 9-0 against the spread. Denver in January, this is not an easy place to play, especially in January. For what it's worth, they're 5-0 against the spread as a home dog in January all time. 2-0 in the playoffs. They beat the Pats in one of those games as a home dog in January, and they won with Tim Tebow as the quarterback in the other. Peyton also is an elite underdog,
Yep.
including the postseason. He's 61, 42, and 2 against the spread, 59.2%, covering by 2.5 points per game. When catching over a field goal, one of the best of all time, 66% against the spread. Sample size of 50 games, covering by about a field goal per game. And like you mentioned Stidham. So if you go back to since 2022, so he has four starts, two with the Broncos, two with the Raiders. If you remove garbage time and you look at all quarterbacks with a minimum of 100 snaps, he is 19th in success rate out of 82 quarterbacks. He's basically tied with Jalen Hurts. Adjusted EPA per play, 33rd, basically Baker Mayfield. 41st in EPA plus completion percentage over expectation, basically Mitch Trubisky over that. So like Mitch Trubisky feels like a fair uh and here's the thing. In those four games, he started two with the 2023 Broncos. They were 26th in DVOA offensively, 31st in pressure rate allowed. Bad offense, bad offensive line. 2022 Raiders, 24th DVOA on offense, 25th in pressure rate allowed. Well, now he has an elite play caller. He's been in the system for years, and he has arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. That's massive for a backup. You also have like the Ewing theory in effect here, right? Backup quarterback, AFC championship get home. You're going to get everyone else like just out of body stepping up. It's narrative-y, but we've seen it play out in the past before. Also, now all the pressure shifts to the Pats, right? Like this young team with a young quarterback, they're playing Jared Stidham. Like you can't let this opportunity go by. So the Broncos can play free here. Additionally, the element of surprise, I think, works in the Broncos' favor. Like what are they going to do with Stidham? What are the packages that they're going to use? I think this is to their advantage. Now, McDaniels does have a lot of familiarity with Stidham, right? They drafted him, that he went with McDaniels to the Raiders. So he knows his tendencies. Maybe that plays a factor. But there's a reason that this Stidham was the first free agent signing for Peyton when he got to Denver. I think that he likes him. And I trust Peyton to get creative here. And I agree with you. I think that he's going to have to throw the ball and he's going to have to do it fairly efficiently because they're not going to run on the Patriots. I mean, you look at the Patriots, their run D was so elite early in the year. And then it fell off because Milton Williams got hurt, their linebackers got hurt, Tonga was hurt. And then but if you just look at their splits when they're healthy, their run defense is dominant. So that Stidham's not going to
Yeah.
have a run game to rely on. But his offensive line, Peyton's also a really good schemer against the blitz. Their offensive line is good against like stunts, which the Patriots have been doing. The Patriots, like over the last four games, they're blitzing at like a Flores rate, like 43, 45, 44. And that's how they're getting pressure because they can't really generate pressure without blitzing. And that now they're going up against a much better offensive. I mean, their last 4 weeks, they went up against what the Jets, Dolphins, Chargers, and Texans offensive lines, all with injuries. And now you're going up against one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So I think there will be opportunities for Stidham to move the ball. And then once they do move the ball into the red zone, you're going up against one of the worst red zone defenses in the NFL. Now, fortunately for the Pats, they play the Chargers and the Texans offenses, who are the two worst red zone offenses. Denver, I think, will scheme up some better stuff here in the red zone. I mean, before last week, the Pats were giving up touchdowns on 95% of goal-to-go drives on the season. 95%. So, and you mentioned it, like the pressure, I think, is going to be huge here on the road. Also, you got to remember the noise, false starts, just communication, all of that. That's what plays into home field here in a hostile environment. But one of Drake May's biggest weaknesses was his pressure to sack ratio, right? He was 28th in the regular season at 20%. Well, that's gone up to 45%. That left side of the offensive line, Benito and company, I think, are going to get a lot of pressure. This is a Denver defense that's top three in adjusted pressure rate, fourth in pressure rate without blitzing. So, yeah, I like the Broncos here also. You mentioned, and look, the Patriots, you mentioned Denver not getting turnovers. They've been unlucky. They're one of the five, they were, I think, 29th in EPA due to turnovers. The Pats have been very lucky. I mean, look no further than, I mean, the Pats, not only did the Pats have the easiest schedule in the NFL and face nothing but backups, fourth downs, they were 72% during the regular season. Their opponents, 30. They fumbled it 20 times, recovered 12. They recovered 10 of their opponents' 14 fumbles. So extreme fumble luck. That's continued in the postseason. So far in the postseason, they're 2 of 3 on fourth downs. Their opponents 2 of 5. Fumbles, they fumbled it 6 times, only lost 3. Their opponents fumbled it 3 times, only lost 2. Denver is the complete opposite, like 50% on fourth down for them, 50% for their opponents. They recovered the second fewest fumbles in the league. So you saw finally some turnovers break their way last week. Don't be surprised if some fourth downs and some turnovers break their way again this week. So yeah, I like the Broncos here, and I'm going to take it one step further for my first pick and the second overall of Championship Sunday six pack. I'm going with the Broncos first quarter plus a half a point. So a lot of the things I've already mentioned, but just to kind of narrow the focus to early in the game. I already mentioned home dogs of 4+ in the postseason, 9-0 against the spread over the past 50 years. Well, home dogs in the AFC and NFC championship game over the past 25 years, it's only happened 5 times. They're 4-1 against the spread in the first quarter and the first half. And if you look at, we said Nix is a, league average quarterback. If you look at his whole body of work, if you just look at his first quarters, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this year. 31st. So if we just look, 32 quarterbacks had at least 75 dropbacks in the first quarter. He's 31st in EPA plus completion percentage over expectation. He basically was tied with Flacco for dead last. 26 adjusted EPA per play, 29th in success rate, 31st in completion percentage over expectation. One of Bo Nix's biggest attributes all year has been his fourth quarter play, his scramble ability, his ability to extend plays, and they had all kinds of crazy comebacks late. So, what were you getting all year from Nix in the first quarter? Nothing. So, what could the drop off be even early on? Additionally, you have the element of surprise, the script, Patriots not knowing what to expect here. You're probably going to get some tricks, just some really exotic looks. They might even go heavier here. So I trust Peyton to come up with some stuff that the Patriots just don't really have on film and don't know what to expect with Stidham. Now you might say, well, Drake May has been very elite in first quarters this year. I mean, all of his numbers are elite. However, and we got to stretch this because the Patriots' schedule was so bad. But if you just look at what we consider average to above average defenses on the Patriots' schedule, and I'm stretching this to the Steelers, Falcons, Saints, Raiders, Ravens, Browns, and then Chargers and Texans the past 2 weeks, who are legit defenses. There were 2-6 in the first quarter. They only averaged 4.5 points per game. They were shut out 3 times. They only scored more than 7 once. And so far in the playoffs, I mean, all season, these are the first 2 really legit defenses that May has faced. And May has been the worst first quarter quarterback in the playoffs so far. And that includes, CJ Stroud. If you look at any adjusted EPA number, you mentioned the fumbles, but the pass rush, I think the defense is going to come out juiced. The early script, I like Denver early to at least keep this tied. You mentioned the Patriots. They might go a little bit more conservative early to not make a mistake. See what Stidham's got. So yeah, I'm going to go with Denver first quarter plus a half. I'm also on Denver for the full game. That would have been my first pick. Where are you going for your second? Any thoughts there?
Yeah. No, I didn't realize that May was that bad. I mean, eye test wise, I just didn't pull the numbers, but yeah, I might join you on that because I think it could be like the Patriots have been kind of coasting by. Their defense has been really good, but now you're in a situation where you're going on the road for the first time in the playoffs. You're still a young team. Like all the Vrabel things have gotten you this far, but now it's like there was a reason Sean Payton, I think, immediately went back to the podium and announced that. I don't think it was he said it was for his own team, but I think it was for the Patriots. I think it was so they knew right off the bat, so they're already starting to look past, this Denver team, all right, and start feeling that pressure. So they could come out tight. They're going on the road, Mile High of all places, real tough place to play. And just a simple fact of, like you said, they haven't really played good teams. First quarter in the toughest matchup of the year, It makes a lot of sense. So I like that. I do like that. Um, so let's stick with this game. I'm gonna go for my second pick, the third overall of the conference championship six pack. I'm going with Jarrett Stidham over 31 and a half pass attempts against this New England defense. Now, I already kind of talked about it. Sean Payton against a bad run defense last week with three receivers that got hurt in the first quarter. One Mims came back and then got hurt again and then came back. But yeah, he gives the ball to the backs 10 times in that game. They're for the season. Guess who led the league in pass attempts during the regular season? Bo Nix. And he did this despite scrambling. Like it's not like Bo Nix is just a pocket bound quarterback. Like he's scrambling too, still managed to lead the league in pass attempts. Jarrett Stidham, 4 career starts, 36 attempts, 34 attempts, 34 attempts, 32 attempts. So Stidham's always had at least 32 here. And the Patriots, if you look at the postseason, Herbert only got to 31 or the Chargers only got to 31 in that first meeting. But they got sacked 6 times. I think Sean Payton will figure out, like, get the ball out of Stidham's hands quicker than that. And
the Broncos also have an astronomically better offensive line than the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, so I will. In fairness, the center is questionable, right? Like the backup center is questionable, I believe.
But they might get their starter back.
Yeah. Wattenberg will be big because their numbers have dropped off. Without Wattenberg in the lineup over these last, I believe he's been out for 4 weeks. So that would be big. But yeah, they could have issues with at center if he can't go, and Forsyth is also out of action. So that
I think he's going to be back, by the way. So
yeah, and Stidham has worked with the backups either way. So I mean, it shouldn't be a massive deal. But yeah, we know Justin Herbert is just pukes in the playoffs, and then C.J. Stroud, I mean, still threw the ball 47 times, and and there's also like if you don't believe in Stidham, like if you think maybe he's getting a little too hyped up now by maybe sharps are on him or whatever it is, like okay, if Stidham does shit the bed and like throw a pick 6 or something, fumble, whatever. Like if the Patriots get another defensive score, that just puts Stidham right back on the field. And remember, Sean Payton is just not running the ball, and no one's running the ball against the Patriots. So love the Stidham over pass attempts. Don't mind the over passing yards as well. I think it's still under 200. I have it over. I have it into the high 200s. So I think that's another option. But I like the attempts because I think there's a variety of ways that he gets there, just in the normal scheme of the game, whether winning or losing. Like, I think if they're winning, it's because they're throwing the ball. I think if they're losing, they're going to throw the ball. That's just what we've seen from Sean Payton through his entire tenure. So give me Stidham over 31 and a half pass attempts. I have it projected at 34 and a half. I was pretty surprised to see the market so low, but they usually kind of ding back up quarterbacks a little bit. But in Denver's, like the team's pass rate over expected is generally pretty sticky. So even if you do kind of knock it down, which I have, for Stidham, I'm still getting 34 and a half, with Knicks. Again, they were passing at like one of the highest rates in the league. I just don't think people noticed because it was Knicks and he was running a lot, scrambling and whatnot. But yeah, I think that the market is 2-0 on Stidham. So give me 31 and a half over for his pass attempts. All right.
I'll play devil's advocate here just to get your thoughts. Because, yeah, I mean, especially if they're behind, I think this gets there. But, so, I mean, I'm 99% sure Wattenberg's going to be back. I mean, one of the reporters said he's expected back. They released Dieter, their veteran, like,
okay,
4th string center yesterday. So they wouldn't have done that if Wattenberg and Forsyth were out. So I'm expecting Wattenberg back. So if Wattenberg comes back, and then you get Dobbins back, they could go to more like go back to some of the 6-man offensive line looks and run it more with Dobbins. And then if you have the Patriots being a little bit more conservative early, and then this gets into just like a shit, like just a 13-10 type of game, and both teams are playing like field position. That would be my only concern, is if like the Broncos do switch tendencies. But I do think that the Patriots' run defense is legit, so I don't think that they're going to have a ton of success doing that. So I do think that Peyton would be smart to throw it more here. But that would be my only concern is Wattenberg back, Dobbins back. They go more jumbo. They run it more. And then their defense is balling out. Patriots are being more conservative. And then this turns into a very, very low scoring game. Um,
Yeah, I
so
mean it's possible, but like that's the thing. That's why I like this prop so much. It's because 31.5 is really nothing in an important game where I mean, like yeah, like you said, you're not going to get a lot of situations where it's going to be, I think, run for like run first down, run or something like that. Like it's you're going to get a lot of second and longs if you're running on first down. You're going to get a lot of third downs if you're running on second down. Like I don't see the success rate being large enough. And Sean Payton has showed us all year that he's one of the coaches who just hates to run the ball twice in a row. Like he just like even against bad run defense, he just doesn't do it. So I could see, Dobbins coming back and them just using that to, use the play action game more. They're when RJ Harvey's on the field, they don't run the ball, period. Like it's like a 30% of his snaps, I think, they run the ball with him on the field. So like they'll still do a lot. They have a fullback on the field a lot. We'll talk about the tight ends later. They even throw the ball to their tackles. Like Frank Crump got a touchdown last week. So it's like, I mean, this team is like just by the numbers. They're like right there with the Bengals and Chiefs as the most passive run averse teams. So I think there's just a lot of ways to get there. Like, yeah, it could always backfire. Like if it's just like something goes the other way. Like
yeah,
let's say
Broncos start
Drake May.
recovering fumbles.
Yeah, like let's say Drake May commits multiple turnover sixes or something like that. Like, yeah, but just like on normal median expectation, this is
Yeah, I
this
mean you
is way
projected
over,
34 and a
way
half.
over.
So
Yeah, way
yeah.
over, way over.
All right, for
Uh,
my
yeah.
second pick and the fourth overall of the championship Sunday six pack, we're staying in this game. I'm going to go with Keyshawn Booty under 2.5 catches. For what it's worth, he went under in 9 of 14 regular season games. He has gone over in both playoff games so far, which I think maybe is why we're getting a pretty good price, like under 2.5, like even money here. His biggest games all year came against zone heavy defenses. I think he's going to see a ton of Surtain. So I think he's going to get PS2 shadowed for a lot of this game. Matt Collins also could be back, so maybe that takes away some of his targets. He's already not he's not a target monster. He's
I don't
not a
think Hollins will be
target.
back though. I don't think
What's
Hollins will
that?
be back. I don't think Hollins will be back. That's just the impression I'm getting from the way they're talking about it. But I agree with you on like he's not target man. So
I thought that
I just
too,
don't
but
think.
like him and Diggs were saying like they're so excited that Collins is gonna be back. Did you see that?
I did, but it sounded like from the coaching updates that they gave that he wasn't going to be back. So I mean, who knows? I mean, I would
That's not
think
the
that
reason I'm
they
playing it. I'm just saying like
yeah.
there's a
Not
chance
just
that he
yeah. There is a
takes if
chance.
Hollins
There's
is
a chance.
back, then
Yeah,
he might get one of those one or two of the deep shots that
yeah.
there goes Booty. But I think he's gonna get a lot of Surtain. It's gonna get a
Mm.
lot. There's the Broncos play a lot of man coverage. Against man coverage, the Drake May's target share goes way up to Diggs and Henry and the tight ends. And I think they're going to get a lot of work here. You're still going to get a couple deep shots to Booty, and he might have a couple big plays, but you're going to get one of the best corners in the NFL against him a lot. And then if he does get matched up against Moss, he probably won't catch it, but just get like a 50-yard PI, which might take away one of those passes. Half joking, but Broncos are number one in explosive pass defense, and I I think that he probably ends up getting like there's all we just talked about the Pats being potentially more conservative. We mentioned the Broncos pass rush against this offensive line. There's also a chance that it's a disaster for Stidham. Like we both like the Broncos, but there's a lot of
Yeah,
uncertainty in this game. There's a chance it's a complete disaster. And the Patriots are up 21 nothing early, and then they don't throw at all the rest of the game. And then Drake May's attempts come way down. That would help it as well. But yeah, I mean, Diggs, I think, is going to be in the slot a ton this
yeah.
week. Yeah. And you're going to, I think, target middle of the field, your tight ends, Diggs. and you're going to get Sertan on Booty, who's already not a target share monster. Take a couple deep shots to him. I'll take my chances. I mean, last week he did get over on like one of the greatest catches of the season down the sidelines to get his third catch. So yeah, I'll take my chances with under 2.5. Hopefully, it's a lot less stressful of a sweat than Cooks was last week. Curious to get your thoughts here.
Yeah, it's so I think they're similar. I think Booty is actually probably a better bet than Cooks for like a big play. But
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't go
think
yards here.
yeah, I wouldn't go, and I think Booty could still get in the end zone because I do think like Drake May targeted what it was a Stingley, right? I think that he was targeting. So it's like Drake May will target Sertan, but yeah, there's a lot of ways that I think this number still goes under. Diggs was up to a 59% slot rate last week, and I think you continue that this week. If you're the Patriots, there's no reason not to. So yeah, I think Booty most likely ends up with two catches.
Two
They
catches for
might,
58 yards.
yeah, and perhaps a touchdown. Like I wouldn't be surprised if one of them was touchdown. But yeah, as far as the median, yeah, I would go under this as well. And if Hollins is back, yeah, that does help because Booty was up to he's running like full top tier wide receiver one route percentage participation rate now with Mac Hollins back. That likely would tick down a little to like hit 75ish 80%. But he was way up there last week. I think it was like 80. Let's see, 80, 90%. I think. Wait, was it 88? Sorry, 88% for Booty last week. Led the team. So that's not actually the norm. He's more around 75% for the season. So yeah, there's a chance he doesn't run quite as many routes. And like you said, there is a chance that means the Patriots are favored here. So that further kind of works against him. All right, let's switch to the we'll get to the second game. We got two more picks each before we get to the rest of the six pack. Here's our weekly reminder to sign up for Action Pro. Only Action Pro subscribers get real-time notifications when Stuckey, Brandon Anderson, Sean Kerner, myself, any of our action experts track picks in the app. There will be plenty of fun sweats this NFL postseason. We already saw one with Brandon Cooks and that under. So you want to get on board right now. You can use promo code POD20 for $20 off an annual subscription. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro. Use code POD20 for $20 off. The rest of the Sunday six pack is coming up. But first, I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor, DraftKings. The Action Network podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. And in partnership with DraftKings, our listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6 and have a shot to win cash prizes. To get started, use promo code Action Network when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code Action Network when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. All right. Rams, Seahawks. Stuck. You have a game bet on this game. So actually, I think you should just start us off here because you have the game bet. I have a prop. So let's everything's worth 2 points this week. We don't need to go in order for these last two. Start us off. Where are you going? Seahawks, Rams.
Yeah, we're gonna do everything 2 points. Makes it easier for organization, give you a better chance to come back, make the race more interesting. So for my third pick and the fifth overall of the Championship Sunday six pack, I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams plus 2.5. I have not bet this yet. I will. I'm waiting for a three. I will buy to a three if I have to. But I'm just waiting to see where this market goes. Doesn't matter for our contest though. Like a push is a loss, so it doesn't matter either way. I just think this is more of a coin flip game. So let's look at what has transpired since week 16 when these two teams played. And when they with these two teams, I bet Seattle +1 in that game. They closed -1, 1.5. They were the dead wrong side. I got extremely lucky in that game. There was one of the flukiest 2-point conversions you ever see. The Rams were up in that game by 16 in the fourth quarter. Darnold threw a back-breaking pick that really should have ended the game. And then everything just broke their way, and then they went on a 2-point conversion in overtime. In that game, in which they were outgained 581 to 420, the Rams did not have Devontae Adams, and they did not have Kevin Dotson, who, by the way, last week came back, who was rated by PFF the highest offensive lineman of the entire weekend. And they didn't have Quentin Lake on defense. The Seahawks were pretty much fully healthy for that game, outside of their left tackle, who might miss again this week. So that line, like that, one of the reasons I played the Seahawks is because the Rams weren't fully healthy, and I played them at +1. So and then since then, yes, the Seahawks have looked dominant, but they played the Panthers and the 49ers practice squad twice. That's it. Now the schedule sets up for Seattle here, right? They were the 1 seed because of that 2-point conversion. They had a bye. This will be the third straight road game for the Rams. They went from Carolina to Chicago to Seattle. Obviously not ideal. So, but go back to that from week 16. It was clear the Rams were the best team in the NFL. It was clear the Rams dominated Seattle, and everyone said the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. And now, like, we're getting to Seattle laying 3 at home in a divisional game where home field generally doesn't mean as much. So, yeah, I got to take even an expensive 3 and get a 3 -120 right now. That's probably what I'll end up playing. Just waiting to see where this goes. I just think that this is too many points. I think this is basically a coin flip game. What this game will come down to, like I think we're just everyone has seen the Rams. They haven't covered 2 straight. The Seahawks have blown teams out. By the way, teams off a 35+ point win. I always love fading them the next week. Only one other team has won in the playoffs by 35 or more since 2003. It was the Patriots in 2011 against the Broncos. They won 45-10. They played the Ravens the next week. They were favored by 7. They won by 3. Should have lost. The most depressing game of my life. Lee Evans drops a touchdown at the end. Billy Cundiff misses a 30-yard field
that
goal.
one. Yep, remember that.
But teams off a 35+ point win over the past 25 years are 55-74-5 against the spread. If you just look at teams that won by 20+ in the playoffs the week before, they're 1-5 against the spread the following week. Teams playing their third straight road game. Doesn't happen often. But since 2003, they're 5-8 against the spread on Championship Sunday. 1-3 against the spread versus the 1 seed, 0-2 in Seattle for what it's worth. But the quarterbacks that didn't cover, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, which Stafford's going to be, are 4-0 in this spot, plus Jimmy G. Those are the 5 wins. The quarterbacks who have lost are, Jaden Daniels, Tannehill, Delhomme, Mark Sanchez, Colin Kaepernick, McNabb lost 1 too. So, I mean, third straight road game, no bye in regular season, 37-40-1 against the spread. McVay's done it once in 2018. They rolled San Francisco, although that's kind of a neutral site. McVay's also 7-2 against the spread in Seattle. But here's the thing. What this game's going to come down to is it's football porn between McVay and McDonald. And it's very difficult. Like, I was trying to think of some, looking at some props for the Rams, and I don't know what McVay is going to do here. He usually throws curveballs. I mean, last week's curveball made no sense to me, but maybe that was in anticipation of this game. Was he setting something up? Because if you look in the first meeting, they were 64% 11 personnel. In the second meeting, they were 63% 13 personnel. In the second meeting, they also ran right at Nick Emanware with a ton of success. And that set up a lot of the explosive plays that they were able to hit. and they were able to do so without Devontae Adams. What are they going to do here? Because the Seahawks defense there's no weaknesses. It is like the perfect defense.
Yep.
There's no, they can get pressure without blitzing, and when they do blitz, no one gets pressure at a higher rate. Because of Eamon Moore, they're able to just have this package on the field that can defend heavy or 11 personnel, and because they can get pressure without blitzing, it gives McDonald, as one of the best play callers in the NFL, ultimate flexibility. And then their secondary is so well schooled. He's addressed the linebacker position with Ernest Jones. There's really no weaknesses on this defense, but a really well-oiled in rhythm offense, elite, will always trump an elite defense, in my opinion. And that's what we saw in week 16. Now, it was a short week. McDonald said he tried to install some new looks, and he probably shouldn't have, and he got too advanced. So we'll see. But he's going to have some adjustments. McVay's going to have some adjustments. Which one of those guys has the more effective game plan and then makes the more effective in-game adjustments? I think that's what decides this game. So we could talk all we want. I think these are the two best teams in the NFL. We could talk all we want about looking at the numbers, looking at, okay, this is what Seattle did against this personnel. We could throw all that out because I think there's going to be some curveballs here from both. And at the end of the day, I have the better quarterback and the better offensive line and the healthier offensive line. And he has much more playoff experience. I mean, Darnold got his first playoff win last week. Stafford has 7 with 5 coming away from home. And you could argue that there's a 10 to 15% chance that Darnold gets injured here. His oblique flares up. Usually takes a couple weeks to heal, mild versions. You could see on a couple of his deep throws last week and that's where it's really going to be impacted. Also, his mobility, his scramble ability. And the Rams can get pressure, and that's where Darnold struggles. We've seen it against the Rams all year. With the first meeting, he threw all those picks. The second meeting, I mean, their offense was doing nothing for the first 3 quarters, and he threw another back-breaking pick. We saw it in the playoffs last year. This Rams defense has had Darnold's number, and one of the reasons is they can get pressure without blitzing. And this Seahawks offense has been kind of figured out. Last week, what did Darnold do? I mean, he threw for 115 yards. He didn't have to do much. That's not going to be the case this week against this Rams offense. But if you go back, I mean, since week 13, if you remove garbage time, Seattle, 27th EPA per play on offense, 15th in success rate. And they played the Panthers and 49ers twice over the past 3 games. It's not like they've been facing nothing but elite defenses. Now their run game has gotten a lot better and it's been more effective. It was horrible early in the year, and they were just using that to set up play action. But teams are now using lighter boxes, bracketing JSN, taking away the explosive pass play, and they're able to run it a bit more. But it's really kind of stunted the passing offense. So, I mean, their run game over the first 9 weeks was 27th in EPA. Since then, 11th. But Darnold, the first 9 weeks, he was 3rd in EPA per play, 1st in yards per attempt. Since week 10, 27th in EPA per play, 12th in yards per attempt. So I just think this is a coin flip game. You add in the potential. I know the scheduling spot favors Seattle, but you add in the potential left tackle injuries. You add in Darnold's oblique, which that can flare up at any time, especially with more pass attempts, and it will have more of an impact on your deeper passes. That's where you're generating your torque and your power through your legs, through your oblique. That could flare up at any time on a hit too, and he's going to be under pressure. Now, in fairness, the Rams haven't looked great. Something's just been off over the past couple weeks, whether it's their defense or some weeks it's their offense. But I just go back to that week 16 game. Since week 16, the Seahawks have played the Panthers and the 49ers twice, who they match up so well with. But after 16 full weeks, the Rams were the clear. I watched that game with a bet on Seattle and said I got lucky, even though the Rams weren't healthy, and the Rams are clearly head and shoulders above the Seahawks. Now, since then, I've upgraded Seattle some, downgraded the Rams a little bit, but I still think this is basically a coin flip game. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I make it Seattle -1, adjusting for some things, but uh, you throw in the Darnold injury situation. Um, I think this is more like a coin flip. So I just give me an expensive 3, but for the contest, we'll take 2.5. And McDonald versus McVay, you go back. It's really funny that you had this year when McDonald got the better of him in the first matchup, but the Rams won. McVay got the better of him in the second matchup, but the Seahawks won. McVay got the better of him in Baltimore when he had the #1 defense, in the rain, traveling across the country. The Rams dominated the Ravens defense that day. So this battle is super fun, but I think we're at the peak of the market on the Seahawks after some blowout wins. I'll take Stafford and the points, and trust McVay to come up with a much better game plan than last week. Do worry about the special teams advantage for Seattle. That could end up flipping this game, but I do think the ability to generate pressure on Darnold is going to be huge here for multiple reasons. So give me the Rams.
Whew. That might not have been 18 minutes, but that was like a Meade Buffalo, Meade Jacksonville Buffalo level breakdown right there. That was some good stuff, man. Yeah. So let me get to my bet, and then I'll just talk about the game as a whole. All right, for my third pick and the 6th overall of the conference championship 6-pack, I'm going to go with Sam Darnold, longest rush under 6.5 yards. Now, he's done this only 4 times. He's gone over this 4 times all year in 18 starts. Last 5 games, he's been under. He's dealing with the oblique, so there is a chance for an in-game injury. Also, Zach Charbonnet, ACL injury. Kenneth Walker, 14 of 14 backfield carries. Once Charbonnet went down before garbage time, and then Bayless Jones got the last 6, I believe it was. So I don't think you're going to want Darnold to run at all. You're probably going to also encourage him just not to scramble, and he might just do that anyway because of the oblique. But it would probably take a scramble to get this. I don't think he's going to scramble as much, and you're not going to call any designed runs for him. You use the tight end Barner in short yardage. So really, I don't think there's many avenues for him to get this unless there's just like a wide open lane. And even then, sometimes you don't always need 6 yards for the first. You slide down. So I think a lot of ways for this to go under for Darnold here, who's again done this only 4 times in 18 starts. As far as the game,
Well, before you share your thoughts on the game, I'll ask you a trivia question.
Okay.
The Rams have played 19 games this year.
Yep.
How many times have they lost by more than 3?
Off top of head, without looking, I would say none.
1 on a walk-off blocked field goal for no reason.
Oh yeah, how could I? Oh, I was no that I blocked that out. That was I think I had the Rams in that game.
I had the Rams big in that game.
I blocked that out. Let's not talking about that.
That's it. So like a game they should have won. There was a meaningless return blocked field goal. There are other losses this year by 3 in overtime, by 3, by 1 in overtime, and by 3. So you want to talk about a team that's going to be in every game. It's the Rams.
Yeah, and that's why I think Darnold's long run is this high, because you are expecting more dropbacks, which, again, it's going to take a scramble, I think, to get this, because they don't call design runs for him, and especially with the oblique. But as far as the game, I'm kind of torn, because I agree. I think the Seahawks were the wrong side in that Week 16 game. It's one of those things where it's really hard to kind of balance like recency versus year long, and like factor everything in, because I do think you did see some weirdness on Thursday. Divisional opponent, second matchup. I mean, all hell just broke loose. I mean, it's just a 38-37 game. You probably have to throw that out, like you said. Now, what worries me about the Rams, since you gave the case for the Rams, I'll just kind of give the case for the Seahawks. I don't think I'm going to be on the Seahawks I lean that way in full disclosure. Well, at 2.5, that is, I make it about 3. But the Rams have, I think the travel might be that thing that looks off with the Rams. And the reason I say that is because it's like, okay, we know that Stafford, it's not just the cold. Like Stafford, they've won games with Stafford in the cold now. They've done it. I mean, he looked, even in the game they lost last year in Philly, looked really good. It's not that. But let's go back and look at the Rams, like last 8 games even. It was a road game at Carolina. They lost that game. It was a much tougher game than I think they anticipated. Then they go to Arizona, which is fine. And then they play Detroit at home. Now, Detroit, notoriously one of the most physical teams, one of the toughest teams, one of the toughest teams to like play and then go, play again the next week and whatnot. So that was their home game. Their only other home game was against Arizona. So they've had 6. This will be their 6th road game, 7th road game in 9 games. They didn't get the bye. They tried to get the bye. They didn't get the bye. In the game against Arizona in week 18, they were at home. It was the most recent home game. Only home game in their last 5. They were down 20-16 in the second half against Arizona in week 18. So this team might just really actually be tired. Like, I know it's a very simple thing, but they might be tired. This is an indoor team, finesse team, known for not being great in cold weather. I don't know if it's the cold weather. It's just more, and this is another outdoor game, third in a row, but it just might be taking its toll because, yeah, Adams is back. He doesn't quite look like himself. Blake is back. Doesn't quite look like himself. Now, that could change this week.
Dotson back is huge.
Dotson did. Dotson did look like himself. No questions about that. But these are still some key players. Now, on top of that, the fatigue, like, is the fatigue or is it just like the busyness of it all catching up to the coaching staff? Because I don't know what the hell that was with McVay last week. And I'm kind of getting a little, at one point I thought, I was kind of with you. I thought McVay maybe just had this master plan and he was setting things up, but I don't know if there was anything to that mid-season swoon and 1-3 personnel now. If he was just like, I don't know if it was just like an experiment that he thought was going to work and he was just kind of searching for answers, because like the one thing about the Rams is they have like this really big drop off where it's like you have Adams and you have Nakua, and then you have like nobody at receiver that they trust anyway. Like they, like whatever, Whittington, Smith, Mumfield, they've all, I guess shown up at different times, but McVay clearly doesn't trust any of them. Last week, Tyler Higbee only played in the red zone. That's the only time he ran routes in the red zone. Davis Allen ran 1 route. Those guys have been like big parts of the offense at different times. Ferguson is like the third down guy. He sees like the target, like 5 targets, catches one of them, like for like the 8th time this year. I'm just wondering if McVay is just like still searching for answers in the second half of the divisional round. And so like there are these things that for me with the Rams that it's like, I do agree with you like on principle about everything that's happened, but in terms of projecting forward, I'm not as confident that the Rams get it done here because something is clearly affecting them. And then on top of that, like they have that young pass game coordinator who's getting like interviews. Shula's getting interviews. So like, is it just like the busyness combined with the fatigue? Like, are they just doing too much? They were 1-3 personnel offense for like a mid part of the year. The minute the playoffs hit, they go back to being heavy 1-1 personnel. They were 1-3 for like the past 6 weeks, really heavy, and really the past since the bye. They were leaning into the tight end. So it's like there hasn't been much consistency. The preparation has been questionable. And this is like in the most important game of the year, the preparation was questionable. And Stafford, the guy who beats the blitz with his eyes closed, was just like flummoxed by the blitz and like his calls at the line were slow. It was loud. It's going to like, this is the 12th man. It's your 3rd straight road game. It's your 7th in 9 games. One of your home games against Detroit in which you had to win a 41-34 shootout, followed 3 days later by like a 38-37 shootout loss. So I think the Rams may actually be out of gas here. Again, this is not like you can't. It's hard to like put that in quantify that. Like I think you give Seattle a little extra boost. It's like tenths of a point for the rest advantage. But I do think getting the bye was big for Seattle, and I do think that part of what the offense has gone into a shell. It hasn't been as good. We've talked about this. First half, they disappear at times. But I do think that there was more of a method to the madness with Seattle than there may be with McVay, which also worries me because with Seattle, I think they have gotten more conservative. I think they've, with their defense completely healthy, because remember, they were missing Amon Worry to start the year. They were missing Love for most of the year. They were missing, who am I missing? Witherspoon for most of the first half of the year. Secondary's healthy. Once that secondary got healthy, they became dominant. They're lights out against the run. No one can throw on them. Receivers can't do jack squat against them. So Puka was like the exception, which is a promising thing for the Rams. But I don't know how much stock to put in that game. Now, with Darnold,
I mean, the Seahawks were fully healthy in that game, and the Rams weren't.
I know. I'm just saying, like it was a 4-day rest. Like I do kind of.
But that was also the Rams 4-day rest too on the road after playing, like you said, the Lions on Sunday.
But like, okay, but since then the Rams have just traveled like I know you keep track of these miles. Like the mileage the Rams traveled has been absurd. It's like at Atlanta, back home, to Carolina, to Chicago, all these games. Like it's just a lot compared to the Seahawks, who got to play the same team twice, rested in between. So like you talk about game planning, the Seahawks have probably been game planning for the Rams for weeks now too. So yes, I put stock into that game, but like confidence wise, I lean Seahawks. That's just my look at it. I do think the Rams can very well win this game. I have a Super Bowl. My last remaining Super Bowl ticket is on the Rams, so obviously have confidence in them. Stafford can always do it, but there are just certain things I'm seeing, like even the play calling at the end of the game last week, where it was just like a sideline ball to Parkinson, followed by a sideline ball to Terrence Ferguson. It's like something is just telling me that McVay doesn't fully. He's still searching for answers, and I just think going up against this defense that has been rested, that it's been kind of just sitting pretty here, waiting for this third matchup. Like McDonald's been the only coach really that you could say has truly, because Shanahan conquered Fangio. McDonald's the only coach that really has had Shanahan's number. Now McVay has really been the only coach that has really gotten off on this defense this year, especially the healthy version of it. But does that happen a second time? I kind of lean the opposite way. And if the Rams have a normal offensive game, like a normal 17 to 23, 20, 23, I think the Rams defense is the weakest unit on this field, not the Seahawks offense. Even with the Charbonnet injury, even if the left tackle misses, I still think the Rams defense is the weakest unit on the field. So that's why I just lean Seattle. I get it with the Rams. I get what happened in week 16, but something's off, and like it's just kind of been in these playoffs. It's kind of just been going according to these like narratives, and like it's just hard for me to ignore at this point. I don't know what it is. It could just be dead wrong, and the Rams just show up and do what they normally do. But something is not right with the Rams, and it hasn't been for a while. And I just think they would have gassed. And the Seahawks going to the 12th man is just not where I want them to be. So I do lean Seahawks in this one.
I will say, I mean, yeah, all those are valid points, and the spot is definitely concerning. Now, if they don't go 13 personnel here, that doesn't really matter. Like your 13 personnel is not an advantage against
the continuity, just like because it doesn't just seem a little like the play calling being what it was, and just like the underperformance early in games to where they're forced to win on like these late drives. Like you don't think some of that kind of goes hand in hand with just like different guys are playing every week. Like it's just like Stafford being unprepared. Like I feel like it's kind of feeds into each other a little.
Yeah, it's possible. That I mean, still since they've scored 45, 41, 37,
yeah,
24, 37, 34 on the road in the playoffs, and then 20. So it's not like their offense has been bad, and now they're finally healthy. And the Seattle, like I just think because of all of this, like we're the Seattle defense, I think, is at the very peak. And like at the end of the day, it's like Stafford is going up against Darnold. One has a healthy offensive line, the other
Yeah.
doesn't. And it's Darnold under pressure with an oblique injury. The other thing is this Seattle defense, I think we're at the very peak. I think they're the best unit in the NFL, them or the Texans. But like they got shredded by the Rams around that game. They played, the 49ers with injuries twice, the Panthers. They played Max Brosmer, Phillip Rivers after a 5-year hiatus, Kirk Cousins without Drake London, the Titans. That's who they've played since week 11. Um, and like who in that realm scares you? I mean, the only
Niners,
one
to be
team.
fair, were coming off like even with the injuries, like they like you said because you had the under in that game, which was a great call, but like they were coming off a string of just like 30, 40, 40, 30. Like they were like they've had, and it's not like they just held them down. Like they held the Niners to 3 and 6 points. Like they shut out Rosemer. They held Cousins under 10 without one. So it's like they're still playing up to expectations here. Like to at least make me nervous with like Stafford outdoors, third straight road game, 7-9 games, play calling. Because like if the Rams play calling isn't firing on all cylinders, like what do you like that? And then the big thing
But there's all
is
Darnold could also just be a disaster.
yeah, no that's very true, and that's why I
Darnold
say I
under
lean
pressure with an oblique injury
Seahawks.
against the defense that gets pressure. Like Darnold could throw.
Yeah,
What has he done
yeah,
all year?
six
For 2 years
interceptions.
against the Rams, turned it over.
Yeah, but and that's so it kind of goes both ways because at on one hand I'm like, yeah, that's real. I mean, that is the Rams, I think, best way to victory to like not even have to ask their offense to do too much. But it's like in this matchup this year, even it's essentially been even. Rams,
They
what
were
was it,
separated by
2 point win,
1 point and 1 yard.
point. But Darnold threw 6 picks. And
Yes,
it's like that's concerning for the Rams, if you ask me. Like, is he going to throw that many picks? Like, it's just like all likelihood, no, just based on raw statistics. So, I just think there are more concerning like elements for me. Like, I agree. It starts out as kind of this coin flip game. It's just I see the more
but
concerning
Rams. We got to
elements.
remember they were. But Rams are healthier now than the
Yeah,
Seahawks. Like the Rams have their healthy offensive line. Adams back. The Seahawks have a quarterback with an oblique injury, which I'll give it a 10 to 15% chance it flares up. And he like was like last week he was grimacing and his deep balls
yeah.
were affected and he was
It's
getting
terrible. Yeah, yeah.
heat on the sidelines. And then you might have a third string left tackle against Jared Verse. Like that's not ideal
Gotta
against
be.
quarterback who cannot handle pressure. So we'll see. All fair points.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I
yeah.
think it's just going to come down to coaching. I think these teams are really evenly matched. All right, let's get to the touchdowns.
All right. Let me just recap Stick Pack. So, Stuck, you have the Broncos first quarter plus a half. You have Kayshawn Booty under 2.5 receptions, and you have the Rams plus 2.5, but you're waiting for a 3 to play it if people don't see it come across tracked in the app. I have the Broncos full game plus 5.5. May end up joining you on the first quarter as well. I'm going Stidham over 31.5 pass attempts. I have it at 34.5, so it's pretty big delta there, even if the line ticks up. And my third bet is Darnold under 6.5 long rush, which I love. Just hasn't done it much, and like you said, could be some injury issues there as well. All right, now it's time for our anytime touchdown parlay presented by DraftKings. We got an interesting one for this week. You want to start it off since you got the shorter odds. I know you like a long shot, so you could give your actual bet, and then talk about your long shot, and then like give the one you're actually going with first, and then get to the long shots, and then I'll follow.
All right, I'm just gonna go with Devontae Adams. No one can run on Seattle's defense, so I think in the red zone, Adams is gonna get plenty of looks. So I think there's a really good chance he gets in the end zone here. A little concerning, only had 1 catch on 8 targets in the first meeting. Didn't play in the second meeting. But I think he's going to get a lot of looks. They have some cheat code plays for him down near the goal line. So let's go with Adams getting in because you have a long shot that it wouldn't be great to combine with my long shot that I also played separately, which is Nate Atkins. He went on, he bet 17 plays last week, 17 passing plays, 15 routes. And I think he has 20 catches in his career and 4 or 5 touchdowns over the past 2 years. He had a touchdown against the Jets. I think that Peyton has to get creative here. Backup quarterbacks like to rely on, their tight ends and H-backs. I think you're going to have some heavier personnel. I can see and mention the bad red zone Patriots defense. That's where Atkins is going to have to score from. I could see you're going to get like a Stidham roll out to the right. Atkins slips out to the left or vice versa and is wide open. And that's the Patriots run D is legit now that it's fully healthy. I don't think the Broncos are going to have a ton of success running in the red zone. You can attack these linebackers through the air. So I think Nate Atkins has a shot here. So yeah, I played some 35-1, 30-1. I think right now at DraftKings it's 25-1. So I took a shot there. But the first piece of this will go with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, and I like the Atkins, and along those same lines, I'm actually going to go with Adam Troutman here. And it's funny that you said H-back because I was just joking. We just did the touchdown show, and I was just joking with on the DraftKings segment, I believe. I was joking about how like Sean Payton is one of the only coaches that probably actually has an H-back like listed on the play sheet, like in his formation. He just loves these like heavy personnel, formations and whatnot. So I love the Atkins call. I'm going Troutman. For some similar reasons. He essentially has been, people might not have noticed, but he's essentially the Broncos starting tight end. Like Evan Ingram has seen his role kind of reduced as the season has progressed. Last week, Troutman and Ingram played the same amount of pass snaps. The only difference was Troutman did pass block a lot more, but he also pass blocked a lot more than he usually does on the season. Like he pass blocked on about 40% of his of the plays that he was on the field for pass wise, and for the season, it's going to be more around a third, about 30% or so. So in this game, I expect him to run a few more routes on the plays he's on the field. And if you look in the red zone, he had 6 snaps. Evan Ingram had 3. He ran 3 routes. Evan Ingram ran 1. So, Evan Ingram ran the same amount of red zone routes as from the 6th lineman. So Evan Ingram just never been a touchdown guy. Troutman plays in the red zone, just like Atkins. He's one of those guys that the other team, if he blocks, he starts to play blocking, he can easily slip out, just like the lineman did last week. So, like you said, Stidham has worked with both of these guys a ton, Atkins, Troutman, because they have been on the second team together for most of the year still. So, like Troutman, again, think he's undervalued as essentially the Broncos starting tight end. And I like your Atkins play as well. But yeah, probably not the best idea to parlay them. One or the other probably hits, but Troutman is 11-1 at DraftKings. Atkins is 25-1. I think the market's undervaluing both. But our parlay here, Troutman, Adams is 26-1. So like those odds as well, especially for such a proven guy in Adams. To still get to 26-1 with another starter on the other side, I think is a great value. So that will be our anytime touchdown parlay presented by DraftKings.
Little small tiny chance that Atkins gets like a rush attempt at the a shovel or something sneaky near the one. He's never had a rush attempt. It's a very long.
If you play Adams in. If I play Atkins and Troutman, I'm almost certainly going to have to hedge with Prentice, or I'd just be so mad at myself if it was Prentice that ended up scoring the touchdown because like he's the fullback. He's kind of like another guy in that could. But yeah, I agree. I think you're going to get creative. You can't run on the Patriots traditionally, and Sean Payton just hasn't done that all year. But talk about our touchdown parlay.
Our producer just said Atkins, Troutman, and Adams. 800-1 on DK.
Ooh, okay. Let's do it. Hey, we might have to just go that with the official parlay. But I was about to say, like, we've had some crazy bad luck. You had the what was it?
We keep getting one.
Warren. Yeah, but you had the Jaylen Warren that time, and I think Gainwell ended up scoring like 2, or I forget. But last week, who's supposed to be catching that Caleb Williams touchdown? It's supposed to be Coastal Armwood. But it was just. Oh man, but hey, we've been close. We've been hitting a good amount of these, and you killed it this year on the money line dogs as well. So I think we're in a good spot here, and yeah, maybe sprinkle on that 800-1. Add Atkins to Troutman and Adams, and hey, we do like the Broncos. not inconceivable they scored 2 big man touchdowns and like 20-17 win or something like that. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. Shout out to our sponsor, DraftKings. If you want to tell the bets we discussed today, find the quick slip link in the video and podcast description, or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Check out App Playbook on X if you would like to get your bet slips built by an AI chatbot. It's a very cool account, so be sure to follow App Playbook on X. You can find Stuckey on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. We'll be back with props, sides, totals, all that good stuff. Episodes for the Super Bowl. Until then, let's get this money.
Let's go.